worry that the party pooper could be the person who may be your biggest saviour a week ago, Elon Musk? You called him a bloody hero on Boxing Day.
Yeah.
You said you were expecting a reasonably sized nation. Do you still think that? He's saying remarks now attacking Britain, supporting Tommy Robinson. Is he now political kryptonite to you?
Well, he's attacking the leadership of Britain. I mean, he's saying Britain's been terribly badly led, and that the grooming scandal, the mass rape scandal, which has resurfaced, and transcripts of what was said in court have been online, and I recommend you at home don't read them. You won't sleep at night. And so, yes, he is attacking the leadership in Britain. He's very supportive of me. He's very supportive of the party. He sees Robinson as one of these people that fought against the grooming gangs. But of course, the truth is, Tommy Robinson's in prison, not for that, but for contempt of court for the third occasion. But I mean, equally, there are people in Britain who think that Robinson is a political prisoner. That's the narrative that he's pushed out. That's how he earns his living, but it isn't quite true.
Would you accept Robinson as a member of your party? You quit UKIP over the association with him last time.
No. Look, Robinson has been to prison many, many times for many, many things. Mortgage fraud, passport problems, you name it. He's got his own campaign. We are a political party aiming to win the next general election. He's not what we need.
In his latest interview on GB News, Nigel Farage took a clear and firm stance on Tommy Robinson, a polarizing figure in British politics. Farage acknowledged Robinson's role in bringing attention to serious societal issues, such as the grooming gang scandals, which have caused widespread outrage in the UK. However, he did not shy away from highlighting the controversies surrounding Robinson, particularly his legal troubles and divisive reputation. Farage noted that Elon Musk, who has recently voiced support for Robinson, has been critical of the UK's leadership, especially regarding the mishandling of these scandals. Farage agreed that these issues warrant serious attention and welcomed Musk's critique of Britain's governance. Yet, he was quick to clarify that Robinson's imprisonment is unrelated to his activism against grooming gangs, but rather due to repeated instances of contempt of court. When asked whether Robinson would be allowed to join Reform UK, Farage gave a decisive no. He pointed out Robinson's extensive history of legal issues, including convictions for mortgage fraud and passport violations, and emphasized that Robinson's personal campaign does not align with the objectives of Reform UK. Farage stressed that his party is focused on contesting and winning the next general election, and associating with a figure as controversial as Robinson would undermine that mission. Farage's remarks reveal a pragmatic political strategy. While he recognized Robinson's efforts in raising awareness of societal problems, Farage made it clear that Reform UK aims to establish itself as a credible and serious political force, distancing itself from individuals whose reputations might alienate potential voters. This approach underscores Farage's efforts to position Reform UK as a viable alternative to the mainstream parties, focusing on national issues without being distracted by figures or movements that could detract from the party's core message. Although Robinson's supporters may interpret Farage's stance as a betrayal, it appears to be a calculated decision to protect the party's credibility and electoral prospects. Farage's commitment to separating Reform UK from controversial figures like Robinson highlights his determination to maintain the party's integrity and focus as it seeks to establish itself in the political mainstream.
But above all, what we need in this country is a change of culture. We are living in societal decline, when nobody has the moral courage to stand up and do what is right for fear of being called names. The fact that the so-called grooming scandal, or shall we call it the mass rape abomination, this is all back in the news. I don't know whether you've read online some of the accounts of what happened to girls as young as 11, 12, and 13 years old. If you haven't read the transcripts online, I advise you not to, because you frankly won't be able to go to sleep. What happened in this country, and it didn't just happen in one place, it wasn't just Oldham, it happened in towns and cities all over the United Kingdom on an industrial scale. And yet, mainstream media did their best not to cover it. Keir Starmer, it would appear, when he had the big job as Director of Public Prosecutions in 2008, chose not to prosecute a grooming mass rape case. The Conservative government did all they could for there not to be a public inquiry. And Jess Phillips this week decides there is no need for a public inquiry. And the police have failed in all of these towns and cities. They dare not say anything for fear of being. Our moral courage is destroying the very values upon which this once great country was built. And what we need is leadership and a party and a movement that understands and knows the difference between what is right and what is wrong, and will speak without fear, without favor. And let's have that public inquiry. Let's expose the truth. And let's make sure people in public life who allow this to happen get their jobs taken from them. It must happen.
Nigel Farage's remarks reflect a deep and scathing critique of what he perceives as systemic failures within British society, governance, and moral culture. He portrays a nation in the throes of societal decline, crippled by a lack of moral courage and accountability at all levels of authority. This depiction hinges on the recurring failures of institutions, law enforcement, political leadership, and media to adequately address the grooming scandal, which he terms a mass rape abomination. Farage's rhetoric intensifies the condemnation by framing this as not an isolated issue, but one of industrial scale, implicating the entire nation and its key stakeholders in a cover-up motivated by fear of social reprisal or political fallout. Farage singles out individuals and parties in a damning indictment. He accuses Keir Starmer during his tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions of neglecting to prosecute critical cases, a charge that aligns with his broader narrative of institutional cowardice. Similarly, he lambasts Jess Phillips and the Conservative government for actively resisting calls for a public inquiry, which he equates with an abdication of responsibility. This argument suggests an ingrained reluctance within political circles to confront uncomfortable truths, thereby perpetuating the suffering of victims and allowing perpetrators to evade justice. The overarching theme of moral decay is vividly illustrated in Farage's lamentation of a society too paralyzed by fear of being called names to stand up for what is right. By framing this fear as the root cause of inaction, he paints a bleak picture of a nation that has lost its moral compass and is complicit in its own undoing. This rhetoric not only underscores his belief in a lack of leadership, but also serves as a rallying cry for a political movement that, in his view, must emerge to restore the very values upon which this once great country was built. Farage's language, while emotive and polarizing, could be critiqued for oversimplifying complex socio-political dynamics and perpetuating divisive narratives. By presenting the failures of individuals or parties as emblematic of broader cultural decline, his argument risks alienating potential allies and oversaturating public discourse with blame rather than actionable solutions. Moreover, his rhetoric may inadvertently inflame tensions by framing the issue in stark, uncompromising terms, which some may interpret as fear-mongering or opportunism. While his call for accountability resonates with many, the extreme negativity in his framing might hinder constructive dialogue or the collaborative efforts necessary to address systemic issues effectively. Thank you for watching. If you have any thoughts or opinions, feel free to share them in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more updates, and join us on Telegram for exclusive content and discussions. Your support means a lot